tag me in it?
I can probably tag you in it.
All right.
Here we
Talk
are.
about a Thursday worth repeating. Let's go.
Let's go, Steve.
All right, so we have a big topic that we want to talk about today on this 8th episode of our podcast, Party at the Summit. And I'm just gonna get right into it because it's kind of one of those highly anticipated parts of conversation, because once you understand this, it really can break you free from being confused and frustrated and having those false starts, especially when it comes to, you dropping body fat or losing weight or just feeling healthy, having greater energy. And that's a concept that I live by, and I'm a huge believer. And because I've proven it, this is not regurgitated theory. This is simply just how we choose to live the quality of our life. But it's the transformation game versus the weight loss game, and how so many people are playing the weight loss game in their life because that's what we've been taught. We've been conditioned. We've learned that the more things we do, the more results we're going to have. Thus, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So the ones that understand the difference between what I call the transformation game and then versus what I call the weight loss game have had a completely easier time sustaining the release of body fat and really body weight. If we're just going to talk about health, I mean, this goes to all attributes. This goes to relationships. This goes to finances and wealth and all those things. But let's just keep it to what my expertise is going to be in the health and wellness field. And so I often get asked, here's the question. I think you even asked the question, Gail, when you first were introduced to this, like, you're like, all right, well, what's the difference? What's the difference between the transformation game and the weight loss game? Well, it's easy, because the weight loss game, as many of you, if you're like looking at the landscape of your own life, you probably have lived this way, where you have a goal. So you set a goal and you'll do anything in your power to reach that goal. Right. So, think of an important milestone or a time in your life, maybe
like a high school class reunion coming up and you want to look your best, or,
I mean, it could be
wedding or
anything. Yeah. Anything. a 50th birthday. It could be, a reunion, a wedding, something that's of major significance, where you will do everything in your power to look a certain way, or for the scale to say something specific that's going to put you in a state of which you have this illusion of as confidence. And that's the weight loss game. And we'll do everything in our power to reach that goal. The transformation game is that there's actually a purpose behind that goal. And that goal and that purpose is really an emotionally driven why. And you don't do necessarily everything to reach the goal. You'll do everything in your power to fulfill your purpose, or your purpose is. And this comes from the deep understanding of what your why is, or what your purposes are. So that's the difference between the weight loss game and the transformation game.
And let's talk about the emotional impact for a second, because I remember when I was like, I have played the weight loss game for years. I can go back on Facebook, memories pop up, and it's like, oh, here I was 11 years ago. Here I was 6 years ago. And you can see, 11 years ago was not so bad. Then 6 years ago, what happened? What happened to Gail? And then now, so I've played that weight loss game, and I've played it several times and I've won. But then, did I win? That's the thing. Because see, the transformation game is what became a part of me in 2017, the end of 2017. Like you talked about it, Steve, was my purpose. My purpose was to feel better, to not hurt in my body. At 57 years of age, I knew that I was better than what I had led up to at that point. And I was at the highest weight in my life, in my adult life. And I knew that I knew I could change. I knew I could do something. And so it became very purposeful for me to interject and to figure it out. I had to figure out who I wanted to become. And we'll talk about that a little bit, but figuring that out and then taking the steps towards it and then learning along the way, becoming a learn-it-all. I kind of played the weight loss game in the first half of my transformation because that's what my focus was. I wanted to lose the weight. But in reality, there was a whole lot more to the transformation of Gail Zintek and to all of the people that are looking and going through transformations than just dropping the weight. And it's an inside game. And I've learned that through, my coaching with you through the transformation method, Steve, is, what is it? And it's not a process of doing, it's a way of being. And learning that way of being has created for me what I believe is sustainable change.
Yeah. And I think you said it like so well, because here's what I'm used to seeing and experiencing when I get introduced to people is that I've just worked with too many people. I mean, hundreds of weight loss enthusiasts, I'll call them, that again, they'll go through any extreme measure to hit a mark on the scale or to, get to a certain way of looking or fit into a certain outfit or a dress or a suit, only to have another false start that they can put under their belt and be like, oh, see, just more evidence that maybe this is the way I'm supposed to be. Maybe this was not, it's not what I'm cut out to be. And all they're really trying to do in their journey is to find the healthiest version of themselves. But are they really? So it's interesting you say that, because it is who you need to become, but it really comes down to the foundation and the fundamentals and the principles that we can't forget. And that's the reasons we do it. And so people are always going to be searching for the goal. They're always going to be striving to hit a goal. But what's more impactful, more powerful is pursuing the reasons for completing that goal. See, we wake up in the morning, we don't wake up to go achieve our goals. We wake up because we have a strong enough reason to put in and have what I call emotional intensity towards that goal. So that's really where it lies out. And, what we're going to talk about, one of the most common questions I get asked on a regular basis, but we can't forget the fundamental principles that it takes to create that sustainable, healthy lifestyle. And you've done that. So what are some of the sustainable lifestyle principles you've put in play over the last 18 months, Gail, that now you are living truthfully the transformation game?
Well, three things that come to mind immediately. And the first one is eating nutritiously, eating a nutritious diet of food. What comes in goes, what goes in comes out. And, I think the pandemic, when I look at the last 18 months, the pandemic couldn't go to restaurants. Steve and I went out to restaurants a whole ton before this weight loss journey that we were on, coming the transformation journey. And so we fix food at home, and I've learned what suits my body. So, not eating processed foods. The second thing is movement. It was March 23rd, 2020, when I showed up, I moved my body for 30 minutes. I didn't die. I came back for 1 week, 4 weeks, 12 weeks, 20 weeks, a whole year of, you call it, you've heard us talk about that. So moving my body and drinking water, those three things right there. I believe if everybody would just take a look, and it's hard. I'm just going to tell you, folks, it's the transformation journey is not a piece of cake, literally, pun intended.
Yeah, right.
But you can choose to live the hard life easy or the easy life hard. I was living the easy life hard. I was living easy, processed foods, going out to eat, not having to really think about things, sitting on the couch, working on my computer, not really getting steps in. That was easy, right? But it led to a hard life of inflamed body. I had a frozen shoulder. I had achy joints in my hands, in my knees, in my hips, and it was hard. And so now let's fast forward 18 months. I eat a nutritiously sound diet every day. I move my body every day, and I drink at least half my body weight in water in ounces every day. Those are the three things that I do. And I don't have inflammation. I can go for a half-mile run and come back. I can walk around my lake. I can do things without, and it's easy. Like I'm gaining my weightlessness, Steve. And so therein lies the difference. And if you do the simple things consistently over and over and over time, your success shows up.
Awesome. And that sort of leads me to the most common question that I get asked, right? And the most common question I get asked is, once they really start understanding, or they hear about the transformation game versus the weight loss game, they decide like, okay, the weight loss game, I've tried that game. It doesn't serve me well. Like, it's frustrating. And I really want to move to the transformation game. They ask, well, what do I have to do? What do I have to do to be in greater alignment of transformation? And they don't say it in those exact words, but I'm just basically paraphrasing, saying, hey, I want to be more in alignment with my actions to what my goals are, or the reasons and purposes I want to live a healthier lifestyle. But it really comes down to, like, what are the steps? What are the steps to change, expand, elevate, explore more of who you are through transformation? And that's where most people go, but it really goes deeper than that, because that really is still doing the weight loss game. Now we're still, hey, what more can I do to chase down my goal, to lose the extra 5 pounds, to make the scale be at whatever weight that you already envision it to be at, or to fit in that dress or fit in that suit. But I begin every transformation by laying out the actual characteristics that are required to have a sustainable transformation. Now, what are characteristics? Characteristics are simply ways of being. And what are those ways of being? Because there's a true hidden path that is inside all of us when it comes to transforming. And it's always been there. It's just been hidden by, again, confusion and frustration and all the information that's out there that people get boggled down by, seeking the least path of resistance. And really, it comes down to, we can't have a conversation about transformation until we have a conversation about the one very particular characteristic trait, which is integrity. Okay, because you could have the right workout plan, you could have the right nutrition plan, you could be on whatever program somebody's suggesting or you're investing in online, from the fitness gurus, Insta famous people, whomever it is. But if you don't have integrity, more specifically personal integrity, then it doesn't matter what you do, because you're not being the person that's going to be able to execute the doing for very long. So personal integrity, I can have a simple conversation with most anybody, and they'll tell me and ask me all the questions they want, but I will look at them dead in the eyes and say, you know what? You're not going to get to what you want to have or what your goal is, because you don't have integrity.
What?
And people, they get like, depending on how the conversation goes, they get worked up, they get fired up. They're like, well, of course I have integrity. Yeah, you have integrity with everybody else in your world, but you don't have personal integrity with yourself. And how do I define integrity or personal integrity? It's just you doing the things you tell yourself you're going to do, when you're going to do them, when you tell yourself you're going to do them, when nobody else is watching. So personal integrity is one of the foundations, and it's not even part of our transformation equation, really, if you think about it, because our transformation equation has responsibility, consistency, commitment, and then given it time, it's always going to be greater than your success. But sort of by design, I've kept personal integrity as its own entity, because if you can lock in and hone in on you living in your own personal integrity, again, meaning you're going to do the things you say you're going to do, when you say you're going to do them, when nobody else is watching. I mean, we talked about ownership last week,
Mhm.
and accountability, because accountability really is ownership. So accountability aligns and correlates very closely to personal integrity, because you're the one holding yourself accountable. No one else is holding you accountable to it.
It kind of aligns with that in the responsibility. You have a responsibility to be personally integral with yourself, because you're the only person that can have that effect and conversation with yourself. So take the responsibility to be integral.
Yeah. So the question really should be, it's not, hey, what do I need to do to be in alignment with transformation? But it should be, and you alluded to it earlier, Gail, was who do I need to be? How do I need to be? And who do I need to be, so that I can start living in alignment to what my transformation is? And that is a direct correlation to the transformation game. Is who do you choose to be? Because everyone right now, if you really think about it, so look at the landscape of your own life. How many people are seeking the right to-dos? Again, the right workout plan, the appropriate nutrition modifications they need, the right guidance in XYZ. But if you don't live from a place of being self-integral, none of that doing is going to matter. Sure, it's going to work for a little bit of time, because you're going to get some results. You're going to get to that scale weight for that wedding. You're going to fit into the suit for that graduation or for that reunion. There's no question. I'm not challenging people on the fact that they can't get to what their goal is. What we want to live in, though, is how sustainable is that?
Mhm.
Have you ever met somebody that they look fantastic for an event, and you give them all the compliments at the reunion, like, wow, you really look great. Like, well, how much did you lose? They're like, oh, I lost 30 pounds in 3 months. And they busted their ass to get there. But then you see them a month later and they put the 30 pounds back on. See, I truly believe I just want my friends to live a great life. I want my friends to live a happy, healthy, abundant existence. And we just do it one step at a time. We don't overcomplicate it. We just say, if you can just make this one shift, this one slight modification, maybe it's in your thoughts or your beliefs or a story that you're trying to rewrite for yourself. But please, for yourself, start living in a place of being self-integral. What does that really mean? Let me break down the nuts and bolts for it. If you tell yourself you're going to go for that mile walk, go for the mile walk. Do the mile walk. Don't procrastinate. Don't push it off. Don't wait till tomorrow. Just do what you say you're going to do. If you tell yourself that you're going to do your meal preparation for the day, then set aside the time, create a vacuum, create a space in your day where you can get that food preparation work in. And you'll be amazed. It's astounding how much not only do you feel awesome about yourself, but your self-confidence gets elevated. And that's how we increase our confidence. It's a habit and process of keeping the promise you make to yourself. One small commitment at a time. And we've talked about this, I believe, but I call it a power promise. Just create a power promise, something so small that you can do essentially every day. That's going to move you closer to what your purpose is, which is going to help reinforce. And you do enough of that time over time over time, your goal gets satisfied. But create that lifestyle.
I love how you break that down into the small things. And so, I mentioned that I showed up for 30 minutes it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. That was just what was available at the time. And that's what I took advantage of because you were there and you offered it. But for those of you who are listening to this, think about your own life. And if you haven't moved your body in a long time, maybe it's just getting up and going for a walk around the block. Maybe it's just, getting up and walking around the house. My neighbor's 82 years young, and she tells me she gets 10,000 steps a day in, and we don't hardly see her outside, but she says every hour I get up and I walk up and down my stairs, walk around my house intentionally. So if you can intentionally do something for yourself every day, that you say, I'm going to promise myself that I'm going to, walk around the block every day, and not just Monday through Friday, but every day, do something every day that serves yourself, then, that 10 minutes or that walk around the block might expand out in due time. But it's not changing everything about yourself, not getting overwhelmed with tasks of doing. It's deciding, I want to be healthier. I want to be there for my I want to walk with my grandchildren on the beaches of the world. I want to play with them out in the backyard when they come over to my house. I want to swim with them. I want to do the things that I want to become, that person, that grandma. And that was my motivation, is to become the grandma that could hang with the grandkids. And there's so much joy in being able to do that. And it just took one small step, day after day after day after day after day after day. And don't give up on yourself. You might have a bad day now and then. Guess what? Chalk it up as a bad day, a bad moment, whatever, but get back
find the lessons in it, find the lesson in it, and move on.
Yes.
Yeah, it's never a loss of a day. It's never what you had said, a bad day, when there's a lesson taken out of it. It's never a loss, only a lesson. So that is the simplicity of the transformation game versus the weight loss game. So do you want to continue living in the weight loss game and going and reaching that goal only to not make it sustainable because you put in all this effort, all this time, all this energy, not to see yourself living that lifestyle for a duration of time? And that's really the question. Like, I asked this question quite a bit in our group, in our transformation method, is how long do you want to live this lifestyle for? If you're doing things right now and you're waking up and the first things that come to your mind are like dread and exhaustion and, oh, I got to go do my movement today. Oh, I got to go get my foods into, then that's not a way to live. There's nothing enjoyable about that. Find something that you can do consistently day after day that you actually enjoy doing. For the most part, I don't enjoy getting to the gym every day, but for the most part, I enjoy getting there. It's when you get there and get those endorphins going and getting that sweat going and just serving my body well. Because ask yourself, how long do you want to live this lifestyle for? That's the real question that you should be asking yourself. And it's not about releasing the weight, by the way. And I know we have about 30 seconds here. Releasing the weight, it's not about that. It's about your integrity at the end of the day. Did you do what you said you're going to do when you said you're going to do it, even when nobody's there to have this elusiveness of holding you accountable to it? It's your responsibility.
That reminds me of our roots. Maybe we should have a conversation next about our roots.
Sure. Well, we're having our conversation about standards on Monday and our life rules and our essential rules for life. So that could be a great connector.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time and attention today to listen to Party at the Summit podcast. And it's a to bring some of our awareness and our life and what we've experienced to you, to maybe inspire some possibilities.
That's it. All right. We'll make it a day worth repeating, everyone, and appreciate you.
Let's go.
Let's go. I'm out.